So the first thing we got to talk about is we got to talk about good old Mitch McConnell, good old turtle. I don't know if y'all know, but Mitch McConnell is still having health issues and he's still trying to hang in there. I swear, bro, I've never seen a group of people try their best to clean, like they will literally be on death's doorstep and they just be hanging in there trying their best to keep their grip on power. Like it is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. It's these boomers, bruh. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to let go. And look, for the first time in history with Donald J. Trump. Now, Donald J. Trump is a boomer, but fortunately for us, he has a Gen X mentality. Fortunately for us, he has a Gen X mentality. Now, I've been saying for years, hold on, y'all, because my lighting is bugging. Let's get that right there. Okay, there we go. I've been saying for years that part of the reason we're in the shape that we're in is because for the majority of our lifetimes, right? For the majority of our lifetimes, that's me, all of you in here, we have been under the rulership of the baby boomers. And quite frankly, they need to go sit down. They need to go have several seats. They need to retire, go enjoy their grandchildren, go knit a sweater, go watch some reruns of the Rockford Files or Gunsmoke or Murder She Wrote or even Matlock. I don't care what they do. They need to get out of power because we ain't going to get any real change when it comes to the corruption and the BS and all of the goofy progressive intersectional crap that we're seeing right now until these damn boomers go have a seat. Now, the beautiful thing is you're about to see a real change in society, in government, because look at all of the things that you see going on right now with the people that Donald Trump is picking, right? Now, y'all might not know this. Y'all might not know this, but guess what? 90% of Donald Trump's transition team, 90% of Donald Trump's cabinet is Gen X. Did y'all know that? Did you know 90% of his picks are Gen X? Oh, ooh, that's why Joy Reid was so mad talking about it's the Hulk Hogan F your feelings latchkey kids. Yeah, it's our time. It's our time. I thought we was gonna get skipped over. And to be truthfully honest, it was looking like we were gonna get skipped over until good old DJT got back in office. And it's funny because look, I hate to have to say it like this, but I didn't realize how much power we had as Gen Xers. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. I guess it took for the rest of society to be so goofy and so ridiculous that it woke us up, because you can attribute Trump's win to Gen X. Trump's mentality is Gen X. The majority of his picks is Gen X. So we already know what's getting ready to happen. We already know what's getting ready to jump off. And people like Mitch McConnell are trying their best to put a stop to it. Let's check out this story real quick. about good old Mitch McConnell taking a stumble. You feel me? Let's pull this up real quick so we can check it out.
A live now look there at the U.S. Capitol. Well, remember, like I said, so many of President-elect Trump's cabinet picks are still meeting with senators today, including who he wants to head up the Pentagon there, former Fox News host Pete Hegseth. He was meeting with senators today, and our photographers and reporters caught up with him as he was leaving some of those offices. This is very brief. Let's listen.
It's a long day, I know.
Hi, sir. Do you think you have Senator Murkowski's support after your meeting this afternoon?
I appreciate her very much. It was a wonderful meeting and a great discussion.
Can you tell us more about your meeting with Senator Daines just now? How was that?
Also excellent. Just so much insight across the board from all these senators. He's a great guy, like the others we met with, and fun to go up and down the board on issues and talk about it, get his insight.
What kind of questions did Senator Murkowski ask?
Have a good day, man.
Have a good night.
Okay, so reporters following the Hegseth entourage there to the elevator. That was after his meeting with, I believe, Senator Steve Daines of Montana. So he also met with Lisa Murkowski, the Republican from Alaska. Aisha Hasni asked him about that talk. He said it was excellent. I appreciate her input a great deal. Let's talk about some of these meetings and more with our colleague there at Fox News Radio, Ryan Schmelz. He joins me. Ryan, good to see you here. So many of these cabinet picks are on the Hill. You and I talked last week about the Hegseth nomination and how it was somewhat on the ropes. He was facing a lot of criticism over some of these reports and allegations about some of the indecent behavior and improprieties that he allegedly faced when it comes to infidelity and excessive drinking and the like here. How is the Hegseth nomination doing this week?
I would say, Andrew, it's a pretty drastically strong improvement from last week. You know, he's spent a lot of this week meeting with the senators who probably are going to be pretty vital to getting him confirmed. That includes Lisa Murkowski, like you just said. That's somebody who is not a big Trump supporter, so certainly somebody who could have been skeptical of his nomination. So far, from what we've heard from them, it seemed like it was a productive conversation they had. But he also had been meeting with Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, who had been a little hesitant to come out and support Hegseth. But by this week, she has now said that she is going to support him for now. But her kind of support notice that she put out on X didn't seem like a firm support, but it did seem like as of right now, she's going to support him through this process. That's the exact quote. So you can interpret that a lot of ways. Does that mean she's ultimately going to vote for him on the floor? I don't think that's a guarantee. But as of right now, she has the support, barring anything else that comes out that may be concerning.
So, Ryan, I mean, how many Republican senators can Hegseth lose but still be confirmed? Do we know that number?
The total number would be 4. He can get to 50, and then J.D. Vance can break the tie on his nomination. So as long as he does not lose 4 senators total, Republicans will have a 53-seat majority. So he can lose 3, it gets down to 50. J.D. Vance can then break the tie. But if he loses more than that, then his nomination could very well be doomed.
So, I mean, what are you hearing kind of writ large about how these picks are going? Not just Hegseth, but we also want to put up this here.
You know what's hilarious about this? What's hilarious about this is how they're behaving as if Trump has to accept that. And some people, you know, there's some people that's going to say, but they have to be confirmed by Congress. You know how many people Joe Biden got confirmed and didn't need Congress to do it? Joe Biden, Obama, Bush. I told you that it's real goofy. Like they allow all of the presidents to play fast and loose with the rules. But then when it comes to Trump, they want him to do everything to the letter. You feel me? They don't allow him any type of professional courtesy. They just don't care. It's like, oh, well, if we don't confirm him, we don't. And I'm so glad, like the fact that they're gonna have difficulty stopping a lot of his picks, it just shows you how many rhinos we've gotten rid of in the past 8 years. We've gotten rid of a lot of rhinos. Like, real talk.
Kash Patel, Trump's pick for FBI director, was also on the Hill meeting with senators. You see him here. Let's take a this. So are any of these picks that you've heard, that you've seen reporting, the reporting you've done, facing any hurdles or obstacles, or is it smooth sailing? I saw a post by Republican.
I saw somebody post on Twitter. They said Kash Patel, the first black FBI director. What y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about Kash Patel being the first black FBI director?
Republican senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, saying confidently that every pick will get confirmed here. Is that the feeling on Capitol Hill or not?
For the most part, it seems like it's trending that direction, but there are still some out there who have their fair share of hurdles. I think one of them, and I mean, timing could not have been more unlucky for this individual, which is Tulsi Gabbard, where, she started making her rounds on Capitol Hill, and then the fall of Assad happened in Syria. So with his regime falling, her past statements that have been seen as sympathetic by some to the Assad regime and also sympathetic to Russia are certainly coming up and certainly a factor here. There's some senators like James Langford of Oklahoma who pointed out that he has some concerns about past comments she's made about Edward Snowden. So we had to keep in mind with somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, this is somebody who has been a Democrat for just about her entire life. I think up until this election cycle, she was a Democrat. She was somebody who endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016. And the difference between somebody like her and Kash Patel and Robert Kennedy Jr. is that Tulsi Gabbard was a member of Congress. So keep in mind, her voting record is public. And when you've got a 10% lifetime score with the Heritage Foundation, there's a lot of liberal votes that you've got on your record that you're going to have to answer for.
So, Ryan, let's talk about another former liberal or current liberal. I don't know how you want to describe him. I'm talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. When do his meetings with senators start? He's up for the job at HHS. Haven't seen him yet on Capitol Hill, have we?
Yeah, we have not seen him just yet. I think we are expecting his visits to start sometime next week. And I think his confirmation process might be the one that stands, maybe has the biggest obstacle just in terms of logistics. The reason I say that, and I think I've talked about this on this program with you before, is that he would have to go through what's called the Senate Help Committee. That's the committee that is going to be chaired by Bill Cassidy in the next Congress, somebody who supported the second impeachment of President-elect Trump. And then if they keep the same members on it, then you're also going to have Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, two other people who supported impeachment and also didn't endorse President-elect Trump this election cycle. So they could be obstacles in his way. But one thing that could be helpful to him is that it doesn't seem like Bernie Sanders is a firm no on Robert Kennedy Jr. He could be somebody who might actually support his nomination in the end. He's not come out and said it publicly, either denying it or confirming it. But I think he's somebody you could watch as somebody who could flip on somebody like Tulsi Gabbard and Robert Kennedy Jr., especially since I believe Bernie Sanders has a pretty close relationship with Tulsi Gabbard to begin with.
Okay, so let me address this real quick. I think it is both egregious and despicable that RFK would have any problem getting nominated. Like, it's not nominated, but confirmed. What's ridiculous to me is you can pull up on the internet, there's an entire collage of Democrats kissing Tulsi Gabbard's ass. I mean, literally everything they said about her was a shining recommendation when she was a Democrat. When she was a Democrat, none of this Russian asset and, oh, I'm worried about who she has connections with. None of that shit came up when she was a Democrat. None of it. Now all of a sudden she with Trump, and all of a sudden now what's annoying to me is that everybody's acting like this is normal. The only people that's really calling it out is us regular people. The people that are on the news and stuff, they're not calling it out enough. They're not calling it out enough. Like, okay, so you expect us to believe you're a bunch of flip-floppers. There used to be a time where being a flip-flopper literally would destroy your political career. You feel me? Literally. The fact that you got these individuals that basically were character witnesses for her are the same people saying that she's not of good character. It's ridiculous. Now, as far as RFK Jr., considering every single thing that has been done to his family, sweet Jesus. Like, bruh, if anybody has the right to be in government, it's RFK Jr. I'm just keeping it real. Considering what was done to his family, the fact that they would even fix their lips to say anything messed up about him is crazy. Like, he has the biggest axe to grind than anybody in government, and you don't even see him talking about it. You don't even see him making reference to it. Like, he just be chilling.
I want to ask you about this. That's kind of rearing its head, and murmurs have been out there that some of these Republicans on the fence, these senators, like Joni Ernst, maybe with the Hegseth nomination.
Pause for a second. Clatch 365. What's clickbait? What is clickbait? Please let me know. What's clickbait? What is clickbait? Clatch 365. I'm really interested to know. What's clickbait? What's clickbait? Please tell me. You know what's one of the things that I would be so ecstatic about if Trump actually accomplishes it. If he gets rid of the Department of Education. He needs to get rid of the Department of Education and replace it with something better. This is the first time in history, right? This is the first time in history that we have had this many adults that are mentally challenged. I don't think I've ever seen a point in history where we had this many adults that were just blithering idiots. It is beyond amazing to me. Now, that individual probably came in here and said clickbait because the title says Jay-Z fights back against shocking accusations. But if his goofy ass would have been here at the beginning of the show, he would have heard me say that we have a few topics that we're going to talk about. And the main topic that we're going to talk about at the end of the show is the Jay-Z situation. Therefore, this is not clickbait. And even if it was, you can click your damn mouse and click clack your goofy ass up out of my chat room. Somebody do me a favor and give that clown an Uber. And the next person that comes in here saying something goofy, I'm going to shut down the chat so that the only people in here that's able to talk or comment are going to be people with wrenches and people with memberships. I try to show y'all some love and let the people that don't have wrenches or memberships be able to chat in the chat room as long as they're subscribers. But y'all are going to make me go back to my policy of members only. Because there's a lot of you clowns that come to the internet to troll people and get on people's nerves because you don't have a life. You don't have a life, and you need to get one. And if you're a dude, you need to get some business about yourself. Stop being a sucker and be a man. Be a man.
That there will be ultimately an effort, if they vote no on any of these people, to primary them in their next election here. Markwayne Mullin, the senator from Oklahoma, said that would not be wise today. He was on some of the cable networks saying to whoever is coming up with these ideas not to pursue such a thing. Are you hearing that or not? And where did this come from?
I am hearing it too, but most of that has been noise from social media commentators. You do not hear that from within the Senate. You have not even heard that from Trump world or even some of his most loyal allies out there. So most of that is from a lot of social media stars and maybe political commentators who've been pushing this idea of possibly primarying somebody like Joni Ernst if she ultimately decides not to vote for Pete Hegseth. You know, you have, like you just mentioned, Markwayne Mullin saying that she should not face a primary. And then you also have Senator John Cornyn, who said it would be premature to be talking about primary efforts if, in fact, somebody like Ernst is not on board with Hegseth just yet. He said, you know, they've got a constitutional duty to vet these nominees, and that's what they're doing. So I feel like a lot of the elected Republicans and even members of the Trump administration are kind of letting the process play out as of right now. But, you know, that could always change if someone wants to get a little bit more vocal in those circles.
So, Ryan, while we have you, we just got some new announcements for some of these posts, not cabinet level posts, but as we know, the Trump-Vance transition is trying to fill out the federal government here. Just want to get you to respond to some of them. These are coming in literally right now. So the most interesting is he has nominated Kimberly Guilfoyle as the next U.S. ambassador to Greece. Reports have shown, and this has been well documented, that she is either dating his son, Donald Trump Jr., or they are engaged. Also, we also have this from the New York Post, Ryan, that Trump taps Kimberly Guilfoyle to serve as U.S. ambassador to Greece after a reported split with Don Jr., making this even kind of more interesting. More names, though. Andrew Ferguson to be the chair of the FTC.
Yo, Fox be trying to slide under the radar. Fox is the ops too, low key. Y'all realize that, right? Fox low key is the ops too. They don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. They the ops too. They just be trying their best to like fly under the radar so that they don't catch it like everybody else.
Also Jacob Hellberg, he'll be the Undersecretary of State at the State Department for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment. Tom Barak as the next U.S. ambassador to Turkey. He's a longtime friend of the president-elect's. And remember, he got caught up in some of these alleged violations of the Foreign Agent Registration Act for his lobbying efforts in the Middle East. He also chaired the inaugural committee during Trump's first term. And then Dan Bishop, the former congressman from North Carolina, and current, rather, as deputy director for budget at the Office of Management and Budget there. So just some new posts and picks coming in. Kimberly Guilfoyle, that one I think is getting a lot of attention online. Trump saying, I'm very pleased to announce the appointment of Kimberly Guilfoyle as the U.S. ambassador to Greece. He says, for many years, Kimberly has been a close friend and ally there. So, Ryan, your reaction to any of these?
Well, I think the one that stands out right there is Dan Bishop, because he's the one I actually know and have talked to several times since he's been in Congress. And, Dan Bishop is somebody who's been a very vocal critic of Republican Party leadership when it comes to how they spend money and how they negotiate deals in the House. And also, he's been critical of how the Senate does it, too. So if there was a position for Dan Bishop to be in where he's either got to live up to what he's been preaching over his entire congressional career, well, the Office of Budget and Management is certainly that spot. So this is somebody who probably will get a lot of praise from conservative circles as being a hardline fiscal conservative, but he's going to have to get the job done. So I think that certainly stands out. And it kind of has that trend of either outgoing members of Congress or former members of Congress who are joining the administration, but also joining in a way that doesn't cost House Speaker Mike Johnson his majority.
Yeah, that's always what you have to contend with as well. I want to just put this up. We're hearing from Kimberly Guilfoyle. She says, I'm honored to accept President Trump's nomination to serve as the next ambassador to Greece, and I look forward to earning the support of the U.S. Senate. And we have to remind viewers, these ambassadorships are incumbent on Senate confirmation here. So it's not necessarily like these picks will just go to Athens, what have you, as...
Oh, my God. What in the crispity? Yo, I swear to God. You know what annoys me about this shit? They act like Donald Trump does not have the right as president to pick the people he wants to pick. I don't care if the person is in a relationship with his son. And you know what's crazy? They said that his son and her split up. Why is that even germane to the conversation? Why is that even relevant? Why was that even relevant? Why was that news? Am I crazy? Y'all can tell me if I'm crazy. Y'all can tell me if I'm tripping. Y'all can tell me if I've had too much of this yak. Well, not yak, but too much of this damn, what the hell is this? Some of this whiskey. Y'all can tell me if I've had too much of this whiskey. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm so tired of the media nitpicking everything. That, you know what? That is the one downside. That is the only downside to President Trump becoming elected. It's the only downside. The only downside is we now get to have the next 4 years of them nitpicking every damn thing that he does, bruh. They sat back and watched Joe Biden drive this country into the ground like a teenage kid that just learned how to drive, driving his father's car. And they didn't say nothing. They didn't say nothing. They watched him. They watched as he spent money like it was going out of style. They watched as he did that ridiculous Afghanistan pullout. They've watched him damn near destroy the country, and they sat back and sugarcoated it. Trump ain't even in office yet, and they're like, oh, well, he picked. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something else, too. The left that claim to be the party that is all about women's rights, right? Do you notice that whenever President Trump picks a woman for a prominent position, the Democrats and the left have a sexist undertone in what they say about his female picks? Have y'all noticed this? Have y'all noticed this? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. There is a sexist undertone in what they have to say about Donald Trump's female picks, even though they're supposed to be like, that's why y'all can't believe them when they talk about they believe in women's rights and women's empowerment. You can't believe nothing that the left and the Democrats are saying because they're full of it, bruh. They're full of it. They have certain people they pick that are women, and then they try to hide behind the fact that, well, the world isn't progressive enough because we wouldn't elect a female president. They hide behind that, even though they really don't believe in it. Just like you got Trudeau up there upset about the tariffs that's coming. So I guess his clap back at Donald Trump was to sit up there and try to say something about some. In fact, you know what? While I'm talking about it, let me just pull it up. Let me just pull it up so y'all can see it. Because I definitely saved it. Look at what Trudeau had to say.
Progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, we were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government. We were supposed.
That is his FU to Donald Trump. That's his FU to Donald Trump. The world has been progressing fine, moving towards progress, and yet 2 weeks ago, the United States decided to not put a woman in office for the second time. This is this prick talking about us. This is him talking about the American people. Like, you talking real greasy up there, Trudeau. You're talking real greasy up there when you run your country the way some inept, non-business, experienced person runs a deli. That's how you run Canada. Most of the people up there can't even afford to live in Canada. Like, real talk. You flexing real hard, bro. You talking real crazy up there. It's about women's rights is under attack. Nah, the only place that women's rights are under attack is in the left. When they want men to compete in women's sports, and they want people that are not women to be able to go to their bathrooms and locker rooms. That's the only place where women's rights are under attack, sir. It's disgusting. It's disgusting the way he sits up there and talks crazy about America because he can't get his way. That's all it's about. You're gonna put tariffs on us. It's not fair. Deal with it. Deal with it.
As the Trump administration starts, they do have to be Senate confirmed. Ryan, while we have you, just briefly, there was quite a scare for Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell today in the Capitol. I want to put this up from Chad Pergram. He has a statement in from McConnell's spokesperson here. If we have that, we can turn to that. That McConnell suffered a fall here and injured himself. What more do we know?
Well, from what we understand is that, number one, Leader McConnell is fine. Number one, you had the incoming Majority Leader, John Thune, say that at his press conference. You had some spokesmembers say that he is fine too. And then we got that statement eventually as well. And it looks like McConnell fell. He cut his face. And then he also sprained his wrist. And there were some photos of him with a cast on a little bit later on. So from what we understand, it looks like McConnell is doing okay. But of course, you can understand maybe some of the noise that came out of that and the scare that came out of that, because he had a very couple of public episodes not too long ago where he actually froze while he was recovering from a concussion during public events. One was at a weekly press conference where he got up there and he froze on stage and had to be, helped off by John Barrasso, the now whip, And, he eventually did come back to that press conference and took more questions than he normally does. But, these recent health scares plus his age, I think have kind of contributed to some of the worry that happens whenever these incidents happen. But from what we understand right now, McConnell is okay.
Ryan, do we know if any senators saw him fall?
Not that I know of. I haven't gotten any eyewitness testimony yet.
Okay, I just want to put this up. This is the statement that Chad put out from McConnell's spokesperson, saying Leader McConnell tripped following lunch. He sustained a minor cut to the face and sprained his wrist, and he has been cleared to resume his schedule, though he was not at the weekly press conference for Senate Republicans there on Capitol Hill. And you see there him with the bandage on his face. So we wish him well in his recovery. Ryan?
Yeah, what usually happens is when you're sneaking around to be conniving, to be deceptive, to undermine, you tend to not pay attention to where you're walking because your mind is focused on being trifling. So you tend to slip and fall or trip over shit when you somewhere doing something you ain't got no business. Now, this wouldn't even be an issue. Let's say Matt Gaetz fell. It would be embarrassing, but it wouldn't be an issue. The only reason it's an issue for Mitch McConnell is because you're a senior citizen. You should be somewhere in a home where they got padded walls and handles everywhere so that you won't fall and hurt yourself, bro. You don't have no business being in Congress anymore. Not you, not Sleepy Joe, not always lit Pelosi. Like, none of y'all should be in office right now. You should be retiring. And I'm gonna tell you something real, right? Because some of y'all gonna be like, oh, you making fun of him. I'm not making fun of him. I don't like to see elderly people fall and hurt themselves. I don't even think that's funny. It's funny when a young person falls. But when an elderly person falls, it ain't funny. You just feel bad for them. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you what the biggest problem is. The biggest problem is all of you that are around him. Okay? You don't want him to leave because you like his influence and his power. Yeah, and you're trying to siphon some of that for yourself. And this right here is akin to elder abuse at this point. The people around him, his advisors, his family, they should have been told him, it's time for you to sit down. It's time for you to sit down. I'm sorry. It's a wrap. It's a wrap, bro. You're not young and spry anymore. You feel me? In fact, it is compromising to our government to have these people. Because how do we know? How do we know that some of your decisions you're making aren't being fueled by dementia? How do we know? How do we know? You could be making choices and decisions that you're only making because you ain't in the right state of mind. We don't know. We don't know. You need to go somewhere and sit down, bro. Have several seats, bro. Your time in the sunshine is over, bro. It's done. You feel me? So just, pack it up, call it a day, because it's done.